are literally shaping the planet.
Purpose is the only pathway to a regenerative future.
We have a choice to stay with the status quo or to change.
What is the point of trying to be just resilient when we can actually innovate?
I think it's a good ending to the day, to a successful day. I've listened to a lot of people working towards sustainability as a concept, sustainability in terms of upcycling, and sustainability as recycle. So right now, I think it's time to look at hard facts, and it's time to look at hard material also. The material which goes into the most used commercial spaces of the globe, which are the office spaces. And it is a good moment to be discussing these because there's a lot of talk going around the world about how the offices are going to perform once the COVID scare is over, or even during the COVID scare, how these offices would perform. Just a little bit info about ourselves. I think the intro which Matthew gave was very accurate and I think very concise, and that's all we do about. We raise the bar by designing workplaces with keeping people and planet in mind. We are an offshoot company from Earth Design Build. My earlier colleague Swapnil was, I think, here just a session ago to tell you about the digitization of the AEC sector. So we are an offshoot of a workplace company. We are headquartered at Singapore. That's where our living lab is, and that's where we come up with products. We patent our products. We experiment with our own products, and we try to get it. We try to get to a level where we could achieve a commercial model which is highly sustainable and productive. That's how our company name also comes from, Super Company. So we are the sustainability and productive company, as bold and as direct as it can get. So let me take you guys to an interesting research which we did during the whole pandemic period. There was a lot of talks during the pandemic period. A lot of people from each sector, each domain, each industry expressed their views on how the workplaces should be performing during the pandemic and after the pandemic. Although, mind you, this is a product which we have researched and developed 2 years ago, but right now it's become a hot discussion in the market because of the current scenario. So if I just start quoting a lot of researches which we have gotten during the pandemic at different stages, they're absolutely contrary in the nature. Most of them are biased to prove a particular business point from the same industry where the leader belongs to. So if you see Barclays CEO, Mr. Jay Staley, commenting that all the workers will have to return back to the office. In fact, last week, he's announced that in US, particularly, all the workers should be working back from their offices. Walmart, on the other hand, is saying that they believe that most of the work will be from home. Most of the new normal will be where maximum amount of workforce will be working from home. Walmart is joined by another tech giants, Cognizant and Accenture, in telling the same story. Now, when you come to Mr. Nadella, who heads Microsoft right now, he says we need a hybrid kind of a workplace, which is I would say a middle level solution between the above two stories, where you should have a workplace which should be enabled enough that half of the team might be working from the same space and the other half of the team might be working from their respective homes or other places. So that is the collaboration culture he's trying to stress upon. So now so different people involved in different cycles of building a fit out or building a workplace have different kind of worries, which this pandemic has opened up, which were earlier there, but I think this is the high time where pandemic has focused on these issues. The first, if you're a facility manager, if you're the facility head, admin head, I think you will worry about the first factor is the safety, whether the workplace is safe enough, whether indoor air quality is as per the government recommendations, as per the ASHRAE recommendations and other WHO recommendations which have been provided. The second is if you are on the leasing side, then you should be worried about the density of the workplace. So right now, for example, in India and Singapore, only 30% of the workplace is allowed to come during the pandemic. So you're not getting the rentals have not reduced, the facility cost has not reduced, the electricity consumption has not reduced, but the density has come to 1/3. So you should be worrying about if you're on the leasing side, you should be worrying about the ROI which the asset is going to give back to you. If you're an architect, you should be worrying about what would be the future layouts, what would be the future desking systems, what will be the future office systems, whether it will be a collaborated or a hot desk system which will pick up more, or whether it will be a allocated desk system with just better densities which would be there. Then if you are an HR from the human resource side, from the marketing side of the company, you should worry about what should be the shared versus allocated spaces, because that is how your company culture is going to be based. Whether it is going to be a meeting room with social distancing all the way till eternity, or whether we are going to come back to formal handshakes, or whether we are going to come back to the former pre-COVID scenarios, I call it, whether we are going to come back to the pre-COVID scenarios when the vaccines are created and everybody forgets about this scare in the timeline in another couple of years, I would say. And if you are a CXO of the company, if you are a financial officer of the company, you should be worrying about your ROI, because your CapEx spend has not reduced. Your capital expenditure, which is a $10 billion expenditure in US alone every year and growing at a staggered growth of, I think, 3.5-4%. You should be worried about whether my CapEx is going to give me the same amount of return, which, the current systems pre-COVID times was, providing. So, we started a lot of architectural firms based out of US, working in US, and who've done large amount of workplace work globally. So there's a home survey of the US, which was done during COVID times, which was published by Genslar, which says 70% of the people want to work in the office from the majority of the week. So when we talk about Gen Z, or you call the Generation Z, which Sandra also talked about in one of the earlier talks here during the day, is they want to come back to their office places, and because they want to socialize. An office is just not a place to work from them. It's a place to catch up. It's a place to have a cup of tea. It's a place to have a drink. It's a place to innovate. It's a place to discuss ideas. So 70% of the people, mostly in the younger generation, feel that they want to come up back to the offices and take over from where the pre-COVID times were. On the other hand, if you look at reports of Brookfield the global asset management company headquartered in New York, they would say that since the density is going to decrease, you're going to get workstations which are going to be placed apart. You're going to have meeting rooms which would be larger because of social distancing. The overall consumption of commercials workplace is going to increase. So they've actually said that by 2025 there'll be an increase of more than 33% or 50 million square feet in US alone, which is a very big statement, I think, to make. And what Siemens again is saying that the reduction would not be the reduction or the expansion would not be in the total asset space, but it will be in the typology of the space you built. Earlier, if you're leasing at 100 square feet and you're building X amount of workstations and the rest for collaborative spaces, that proportions or that mixture of the spaces is going to change, and there will be no change in the overall leasing of the global workplaces flow plates. Now, in spite of having said all this, there are, I think, a few drivers of change which everybody has agreed to, right from Barclays to Siemens to Accentures of the world, to the Fortune 500 companies. And I think all of us on the table here also agree on these 4 drivers of change, which is going to be the leading forces for the reopening of the workplaces after pandemic and for a long time to come. And I think personal well-being of the employee, which includes your safety, hygiene, indoor air quality. The flexibility of the workspaces. Right now, everybody has realized that they are stuck with a rigid system of workplaces, which cannot move because of the services, which cannot be transformed because of these services underlying and other aspects as well. The third is sustainability. A lot of companies are now pushing to bring more change into the sustainability, because at the end of the day, the crisis which we are facing today is the overuse of resources is one of the major reasons for the pandemics to happen, and future pandemics have been predicted if we keep using the energies in the same way. And the fourth and the most abused topic, I would say, where everybody talks about and everybody likes to have a niche conversation within their fraternity, but there are very least people who want to deploy that to the last milestone level, is technology, where everybody, I think there's a lot of go-go talks about technology throughout the world, but there is the amount of implementation, particularly in workplaces, is still to be seen. So coming back to the topic about sustainability, British Petroleum went ahead and said that because of the lockdown, the global environment reduction in carbon emissions happened only by 8%. and they came at a huge cost. They came at a huge economic cost. Every global economy is contracting. They gave a huge personal cost. There was a lot of unemployment, and in spite of doing all this havoc, in spite of creating all this havoc, all we could achieve was only 8% reduction in the carbon emissions. That means this is a high call. This is a high times where a systemic transition, a imperative transition, a categorical transition is needed from fossil fuels generated either to reduce the carbon emission and to move towards renewable energy. So, now more than ever, it's critical that businesses think about outmaneuvering today's uncertainty. So one thing which people have realized is they want to be prepared. They do not want to leave it to uncertain times for their businesses. They do not want to depend on the next pandemics to come and then to see what to do about their spaces. They want to outmaneuver. They want to outthink. They want to out-technology the uncertainty which we are facing as of today. So we have been faced with the similar question during the whole lockdown period, which was imposed in different phases throughout the globe. And it's still there in most of the countries and most of the cities, including major cities in US, America, and Singapore. So what our suggestion to the clients is the flexibility infused with sustainability and technology would result in an increased productivity. And that is the only way forward where you could, be ready for anything which is going to come your way, especially when you're designing a workplace, which right now acts as a very, very rigid system and is least flexible in the way it's designed. So I'll just take you through our products because that happens to be the central spine of the plot. So this is our desk. We call it Super Desk, the sustainable and productive desk. This is our own patented design, which we created in our living lab. This is a personalized ventilation work desk. Basically, we have brought the air conditioning right to the level of the workstation, right to the last employee, right to the last end user. And we have given the controls of the air conditioning of the personal comfort to the last user. It's a plug and play device. It comes in as a flat back packing, which can be installed anywhere onto the site. It comes with on its IT cabling, your electrical cabling inbuilt, all your raceways building. It has a lot of your management, wire management areas, a lot of your utility management trays, which is built in. It can be customized into any size. You can have a 1200 by 600, a 1500 by 600, an L-shaped, a V-shaped, a honeycomb shaped, and you can all play around with your design as the way you want it. But the main point to be noted, it's completely manufactured in factory, and 1,000 workstation like these could be installed over a weekend in a particular office. So that's the beauty of the workstation. It's plug and play. You can move it around. You can create zones. You can create densities. You can change densities over a particular period of time. Similarly, to cater to the non-workstation areas, we have our own partition, which we call the Super Partition, which has inbuilt air conditioning system built inside the partition. That is one of the USPs. The other USPs is it's a plug and play push fit finish partition. Even the employees of the company can themselves play around with these small pieces, and they can reassemble and assemble it in different zones, creating a bigger zone or a smaller zone, creating different kinds of zones, different kind of enclosures, converting a workstation area to a meeting rooms, vice versa, and endless opportunities of designs which can result. So these are the majorly two products which we have targeted as of now, through which we want to bring in a lot of flexibility to our design of the workplaces. Now, the flexibility factor can only come, when you have the complete set of services available at any given point of space within the workplace. If I want to move these workstations to a different zone, if I want to create these partitions in a different zone, if I want to segregate them as per government or fire norms, if I want to segregate them for, for social distancing purposes or any other purposes, you need the services to be readily run underneath the floor. So that's why all of the solutions, the ideal situation to run these, to run under air floor distribution system along with the underfloor services system. Although we have tried a few cases from the overhead ducting system itself, but the amount of flexibility which you achieve in the earlier case in the underfloor distribution system is much higher compared to the latter, where you're stuck with the ducts which are coming from the top of your ceiling or your roofing. And, still I've seen the US market. I think not more than 10% of the properties, commercial properties across US are using underfloor air distribution system, and there has been very less reasoning to understand why is the trend happening so. And this is a high time where a systemic switch from a process which has been running for years has to happen from one system to the another. Now, these are the recommendations of the WHOs and the Ministry of Health and the ICMRs in India, the MEAs in Singapore, the BCA, Building Construction Authority of Singapore, that there has to be a decentralization of services for the wellness of the area to increase, because as you decentralize the spaces, there is less transmission of diseases, there is less transmission of bioaerosols, there is less transmission of, just not the coronavirus. There are a lot of other viruses which, humans have been exposed to and are from the corona family. Viral fever and influenza are one of the viruses which have been running around throughout the offices. And it has been seen as a trend where even one person, catches the virus, and we have seen how many team members and how many people sitting next to each other have, fallen ill during the same week. So this is a decentralization system, and particularly an air stratification system. So how does it work is, this is your normal office. This is 90% of the offices globally I am talking about. The cold air along with the mixed with fresh air is thrown from the top, and the return air is also taken from the top. So at any point of volume in the space, there is contamination of air happening. There is no point in the space where you can say, I have absolutely fresh air, or I have absolutely clean air, which has just been thrown by the AHUs. The air stratification is not there. And because there is no directional movement of the air, everything is happening from the same level, the air tends to stay longer inside the environment, and it stays for 70% longer times compared to the other system. So that means even if a particular pollutant or a virus or an aerosol is traveling inside your the office, the first thing is that it will spread throughout the office because of its the nature of the air conditioning which you're using, which is a central system. And the other drawback is that it's gonna stay, after spreading also, it's gonna stay in the office air for much longer periods, for much longer duration. So this is the problem with the current systems. What we are proposing right now is an absolutely underfloor services system, which can be brought in right to your workstations, where the air can be taken and tapped in from the workstations, and the exhaust happens at a different height, at a different level from where the fresh air is thrown. So this is a chart. So we have tested the product for 15 days in BCA Skylab, which is a government testing lab in Singapore, and we have seen the results, which were fascinating. So this is actually a chart which depicts how much of fresh air is stratified within the same volume compared to the earlier systems. So within the human habitation level, the heights at which the human use the workplaces, they're absolutely clean air to be seen inside the office, and all the contamination happens closer to the return air ducts, which are seen above. So that was a good win, in terms of air stratification. And mind you, ASHRAE and WHO's primary recommendation is air dilution as well as air circulation, air directional flow within the same within the same office space. They have these published on their respective websites also. If somebody wants to check, I could send them the links. So now earlier we used to do a complete office, and we used to think of an office as a complete floor plan. So people, if you've talked to leasing managers and leasing heads of the IPCs, and if you've spoken to the global facility heads of the great companies, they always talk about the number of workstations. How many number of workstations am I gonna get? How many number of seats am I gonna get at the end of the day? So there has to be a change at the perspective. We are not trying to change the density of the whole area, but we are trying to change the perspective. So this is a workshop done at a Siemens workplace where we converted a bigger zone. So one zone used to cater to more than 25, 30 workstations with one return air diffuser. On the other hand, we have created smaller air conditioned zones, smaller micro air conditioned zones. So what is happening inside the zone, if I tell you, is that the air, that the cold air with the fresh air is coming from the desk level within the same zone for these 4 workstations, and the return air is being taken just above that zone. So there is 70% less transfer of the air to other zones, as well as faster movement of the air because of a high and low pressure which we have created within the same zone. So these people automatically get their air bubbles or air curtains, if I may take the courtesy to call it so. And there is very least transmission of mixing of air from one zone to the other. In the worst case, even if you get somebody infected inside the office, because this virus is difficult to beat and nobody knows, how you cannot trace a person if he's entering with that kind of a virus. Temperature checkings and, touching and all other things are just a precaution. You just cannot make sure. Even if that case happens, this might be a scenario where this person might just carry the virus within this zone and not infect into the other zones as well. This is how a typical section of our zone looks like. So we have a aisle-based system. We look at a 1,000-seater office of into more than 50 zones, each zone of 20 workstations or 20 employees each, where people can get their fresh air from the desk itself. And for the personal comfort, you could control your own desk, you could control the fan speed, you could control the directional movement, whether you want it on your torso, whether you want it on your body. And the same could be directed to an exhaust air immediately without giving the air the flexibility to, disperse or run from one corner of the office to the other corner of our office, like it happens in the conventional air conditioning systems currently. So this was a small design workshop which we did during for one of the properties for which we had done for Siemens for fit outs, and this came out to be very interesting. So this was a cycle which has been created. So there was a pre-COVID scenario for everyone. And then during COVID, people have modified their office systems. People have increased the densities. People are making most of the world is actually doing the most idiotic, case of making people sit in alternate desks, so that there is a distancing of 6 feet, which is maintained, and the people and at a lesser density, you can operate the same office. And it's actually funny to notice that. And then there is a post-COVID scenario, whether people are going to change their workplace strategy once the COVID scare is over. And once that stage also, one of the true workplace strategies takes the test of time and stays there and is implemented by the majors in the industry, whether we are going to go back to the pre-COVID stages or whether there will be an interruption in the cycle at the third stage itself. So we tried to explore that in a very, practical way in a workplace which we did. So this was the workplace layout pre-COVID that looked like. Any company who's worked before pre-COVID, especially with densities in Asias, would relate to these kind of offices. These are high density offices with workstations close by, 1,500 by 750 workstations being used, a lot of collaborative and meeting rooms to cater to these workstations. Now, this was the scenario of the office. This was supposed to be the fate of the office once Corona arrived, once the pandemic arrived, that you could only use the alternate desks in such a way that nobody sits at a distance of more than 6 feet. I call this the rigid 6 feet office bubble. So everybody is rigid, no assets can be moved, no capex can be reduced, no changes can be done. And then, what we did was, because there was an underfloor air distribution system and we had an absolute flexible way of, pushing off the desk from one place to another, reconfiguring a new kind of a layout, reconfiguring a new kind of a density. So this was the layout which was created by keeping some of the assets in the attic stock and reusing the same assets which were used in the pre-COVID times to arrive at a very safe kind of a scenario where it gave space, where it gave ventilation, where it gave good amount of aisles, where it gave distance, and you could achieve all the government norms, all the safety norms which were required during those times. Now, once the scare is over, now people are returning back to office. We have, using the same amount of assets which we had kept in the attic stock, we have created a medium density office. Now in medium density office, a person sitting sideways and opposite is sitting as 6 feet, but there's only a planter bed partition in between. There is as such no distance, physical distance given between two workstations. So we could increase the efficiency of the workplace by another 25-30%. Earlier, it was very low. Earlier, it was originally, in this, it was 30% of the total, which was compared to the pre-COVID times. In this, we could achieve a density of somewhere close to 55%, 60% of the whole office space. And, and in case we return back to the high density offices after the corona is done, we can again bring back the same assets which have been reutilized in some of the other areas and some of the other facilities, and increase the density if that demand be. So what I'm here trying to say is, nobody knows exactly what workplace strategy is going to work going forward, and how many phases it will be revised. I think there'll be a few strategies which will stand the test of time and which most of the people will implement. But our solution, our model is future ready, is capable of adapting any of those workplace strategy, which as a company level, as a global level, or as a city level, as a requirement level, you want to execute, or you want to implement at your facility in one of your workplaces. So these all products are DFMA based. We follow a principle of DFMA, which is designed for manufacturing and assembly. So this is basically a picture of a retrofit happening inside the office, where we're converting one meeting room into the workstations area. So these are the partitions which are basically gonna come in, and it's gonna the other way around, sorry, this is just converting a workstation area into meeting rooms. So we can easily over a weekend create meeting rooms, disperse the partitions, take again all the services from the bottom, and make a completely new layout, a completely fresh looking office in terms of layout over a weekend. And we do this from Friday night to Monday morning. We give you the office back on Monday mornings. So this is one of the ways in which our partitions, and this is as simple as the animation shows. You bring down the partitions, they form a clip-on systems. You can put them in on any of the tile markings which are running underneath. Then you can bring in the smaller partitions. You can bring in more divisions, more sections to a bigger room. You can have a bigger conference room, a smaller conference room, a 4-packs, a 6-packs, and all the experiments you want to do within your collaborative spaces. In case the need changes later on, you can even do those. And you can create your phone booths, you can create other spaces within the same areas over a weekend. Is what the whole ideology of DFMA, design for manufacturing assembly, does to our systems. This is how we take off the tiles from the floor and take all the services, tap into wherever required, and create a new configuration within a couple of days. With the help of technology, what we are doing is basically now we are basically integrating our, if I take you to a desk system photograph, so we have a diffuser system which comes on the top. So if you see these diffuser systems, these are table-based diffusers, as well as diffuser system which have privacy separators. So these have placed on the workstations. So we have placed a sensor on top of the desk. If somebody walks off away from the desk, that automatically the diffuser closes, and the same signal is passed on to the higher side of the air conditioning system, whether it's an AHU or an FCU, and the fan starts rotating at a lesser speed. So you start saving energy on day one, which is one of the imperatives which is driving us to push this solution to the workplaces. Apart from that, we have a live dashboard running of the current conditions. Right now the Generation Z loves data. They like to know the companies like Fitbits and Netflix and all the other things are operating on how much amount of data you can give to a particular customer about himself, about his activities. So the same system can be run in the form of an app. We've also collaborating with Cozy on a Fitbit app. We have collaborating with Cozy on an iOS app. So in any kind of a device, you could have live data of your particular workstation and its ambient conditions. So that might also help you in choosing a hot desking workstation once you enter the premises. You might know what is the temperature you want to be at, whether you need sunlight or not, how much is the noise level you want, do you want music to be running in the background or not. You can select all those parameters at the entrance, and the platform itself will suggest you the right recommended seats inside the whole office, inside the sea of workstations, and the best spaces where you can sit for that amount of time and increase your productivity. So because of such technology, we're trying to introduce a lot of biophilia into the design. We integrate a lot of plants, particularly moss-based plants, which convert CO2 into oxygen to improve the indoor air quality. So now, how do we keep people and planet in mind? It's just, I think, last couple of minutes I'm going to take. For the people, what are the benefits for the people? It's personal ventilation for each and every person, leading to personal comfort. You can control. So the biggest problem earlier to this was two people sitting under air conditioning and one feeling hot and the other feeling cold at the same time. And that used to be a funny situation with the admins could not manage. So this, I think we have found a problem. We have found a solution to that problem where personal ventilation could lead to personal comfort. You can create micro zones where you could be safe, where you could be, have your own air bubble around you of your own air conditioning, which results, and you have a bettered and monitored indoor air quality within the same zone. So therefore, there is less sick days, there is less prone to pandemics, there is less prone to other viruses, and you have 80% increase in employee productivity just because of personal ventilation and personal comfort. And these are among the top recommendations by most of the top agencies throughout the world, which is saying. Now, when we come about the planet, let's look at what amount of dent are we talking about? What amount of effect are we talking about? So US market in 2016 were $10.74 billion, growing at 3.5%, as I told you. An average lifespan is 3 to 7 years of a fit out. But within the same fit out, the furniture churn rate is 560%. That means every piece of furniture is replaced 5.5 times during the lifespan of a fit out, whether that's in the form of refurbishment, whether it's in the form of, replacement, whether it's the form of, change in styles, change in technology of the furniture. And I was surprised to look at this data because, in an average lifespan of even 7 years, if you change a particular furniture and 5.6 times and you're unable to use it, that's creating a lot of 70% of the fit out material, which is going into the landfill. That's creating a lot of waste just from the fit outs during the process, while you execute the process at the site, and even after when the whole asset, goes through the life cycle of its own. So offsite recycle right now is only 8% of the material. So out of this whole furniture, only 8% of the material is actually reutilized and, brought back to the factory. So what we have done is we have actually created workplace as a product rather than a service. So we are looking at workplace. We have productivized workplace in several ways. So first of all, with the help of the sensors, we are able to save 40% energy savings on the air conditioning consumption because your diffusers can automatically close. You have small zones now. Your throw of the AC is closer to the human, so you don't need heavy drafts, heavy tonnage to throw the air conditioning inside. You don't have to cool the unnecessary volume inside the space. You just cool whatever is required within the human habitation height. You have 50% reduction in site time. An average 100,000 square feet project, I think in US takes around 90 to 100 days to do. I think with the DFMA technology, with planning and design and execution including, we can complete the same amount of projects in 45 to 50 days. This is again DFMA. So you have a manufactured asset against labor intensive asset. So you have safer site, less labor on site, lesser EHS concerns, lesser health risks, lesser safety risk when you're implementing a project. Then when you are manufacturing the whole product at the factory level itself, we have benchmarked our waste creation and waste management. So we have set our waste management and waste creation to the levels of, a green mark in Singapore, with Leeds and IGBC in India, and with USD SGBC in US. And plus we have productivized the whole model. So we have because 60% of our workstation is reusable, recyclable. So we offer a buyback to most of the companies who want to take it for sale. And for all the startups, we have a pay-per-use model where you could have a rental subscription for each employee. So if you're doing it for 500 of your employees, it's just like a Netflix or a Hotstar subscription for your employees at around $25, $30 a month, which you can pay and use and see whether it's working out for you. And for the major giants who want to create assets and buy assets, own assets, for them, we have created a larger buyback value, not the salvage value, but a larger buyback value, so that we can either reuse these workstations at their next facilities, at their other facilities, or we could buy them back and reuse 60% of the material and, make sure that does not land in end up in the landfill going forward. So our vision is to create 100% sustainable and 100% modular office going forward. And on that note, I would like to wish everyone here to stay safe and stay healthy. So we are expanding in US. Anybody on the side of sales side, on the side of business development, global real estate, anybody looking to expand their workplaces or reopen their workplaces post-pandemic, please contact me on the email ID. I'll just minimize so that my email ID and my contact numbers are visible. And I think that's all from my.
All right, awesome. Gagan, thanks for that presentation. It was extremely fascinating. I love the products. I think since we're right on time here, I think we can go ahead and wrap up for the day. So I appreciate everybody spending some time with us today. Just a quick plug for tomorrow. Be sure to tune in. We're starting at 10 a.m. Eastern. And we'll be continuing again through about the same time tomorrow night. And we've got some great speakers tomorrow as well. So just name a few. Dr. Sam Chandan from the NYC Shack School will be with us. Rob Otani from Thornton Tomasetti, Michael Beckerman, Greetech, Kendra Tatarsky from Touchdown Ventures will be speaking. Arjun Chowdhury with the PGA, head of innovation at the PGA. Paul Doherty. So a lot of great content again tomorrow. So definitely be sure to tune in for that. And yeah, I think we can break here for today. So again, thanks everybody for coming today, and I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Great. Thank you all.